with this, let's move on to the next presentation. So this is coming from Hanifi, Director of Technology and Innovation at AESOLAR. And Hamid is going to speak on expanding solar horizons from Carport to Agri PV. Hamid?
Thank you, Sherman, for the kind introduction. I'm trying to share my screen. Can you please confirm whether the screen is visible?
Yeah, now we can see your screen.
Okay. Thank you very much for the kind introduction, and welcome everybody to this presentation on expanding solar horizons from carport PV to Agri PV. In the beginning, I would like to introduce our company. AESOLAR is a PV module manufacturer with 2.2 gigawatt production capacity with factories based in Turkey and China. We are present in market over 20 years and in over 100 countries. AESOLAR is also recognized by PV EL or Kiva Group and PV Magazine as one of the top performers in reliability and performance. Here, in this slide, you can see an overview of our products. So apart from the state-of-the-art standard modules with different cell technologies of PERC, TOPCon, and heterojunctions, we are offering a wide range of customized applications products, including vertical applications, Agri PV, building attached PV, carport PV, and our signature shade-resistant module, which the new generation gonna come in 2026. But now let's have a look to the market before starting the deep technical parts. So if you look at this diagram, you see that the land price has been increased significantly in the past 25 years. This is, for example, the case of Germany for agricultural lands. And meanwhile, the price of PV modules in the past 25 years has been dropped drastically. So we are talking about 96.7% drop for the year 2023, which I know is passing already 97%. So here we have the land limits and of course higher land prices. So dual usage of land for energy generation is an interesting topic to look into. There are many ways that we can implement PV modules into different surfaces, but today in this presentation, I would like to address vertical PV and PV carports. So starting with the PV carport, we need to look into the demand of it. So, and it goes to the electrical vehicles. If we look at the electrical vehicles markets in the past 10 years, we see that the market has been increased for 166 times. So it's huge. And they were speaking around 18% of the cars being sold are electrical vehicles. Now it's very interesting to make a comparison between how much the fuels cost in case of a fossil fuels and also electrical chargers with different charging strategies of hypercharger up to PV powered wall boxes. And you can see that the PV powered wall box is the cheapest with almost 6 cents per kilowatt hours. But how much it really costs for you in case that you want to drive a car with 100 kilometers, considering three equivalent, almost equivalent cars in the terms of consumption, you can see that in case that we have an electrical vehicle, which we charge it with a hypercharger, we have the most expensive fueling strategy. But meanwhile, in case that we are going for wall box powered by PV, we have up to 16 times cheaper energy cost for 100 kilometer compared to hypercharger, and up to 13 times compared to fossil fuel based cars. So here there is very interesting business case, and that will be the PV carports. And there are two ways to look into it. One is commercial carport. In commercial carports, employees, for example, or the people who visit a factory, they park the car there for 8 hours. And here there are two ways to deal with it. Either the investor generate the electricity from a carport and sell it to the grid for 6 cents per kilowatt hour, or sell it to the electrical vehicles for 50 cents per kilowatt hour, which is in this case almost 50% cheaper compared to a hypercharger. But if you look at the price difference, you're going to have a significant change in the return of invest. And the second scenario is when you are going to residential carports. So here the owner charges their car during the night and they pay only 90 cents to drive 100 kilometers, which is again a very fast return of invest compared to charging the car in a hypercharger. And for this, we have a solution. So AESOLAR Horizon module is a module offered for the carport application. So it replaces the roof of the carport with PV modules. The modules are made from N-type TOPCon technology, and it can be offered in two different sizes, below 2 square meter and above 2 square meter, with up to 435 watt peak and 590 watt peaks respectively. The module has 22.31% efficiency and has 8% transparency. I will come to about this factor in the coming slide. The module also comes with 30 years of performance warranty and up to 30 years of product warranty according to the choice of customers. The module, most importantly, has a DIBT certificate, which is a certificate to ensure the safety overhead, and it's being offered by Deutsches Institut for Bautechnik in Germany. To get the certification, we had to go through many different tests that they were not similar to standard PV tests. So here the main goal was to ensure the safety overhead, which is the main challenge of the carport. And therefore, we went through many different tests which were aligned to the building standard, including impact test, loading test, fire test, peel test, and many other tests. And the goal here was to see in case that the module is damaged, it wouldn't fall apart. So in case, for example, of the impact test that you can see here, in case that the module wouldn't break in the first run by hitting it with 50 kilograms of load, we would initially or intentionally pre-damage the module and repeat the test to ensure that the module first of all breaks, and when it breaks, it wouldn't fall apart. So that was the main goal of this certification. Well, the module passed the certification and it's equipped with the DIBT certificates. And we have, for example, a very nice reference project in Termi Bad Wosthofen in Germany. The project is installed with our partner Timeless Planet with 1,341 kilowatt peaks, including 3,120 PV modules. So this project can save up to 601 tons of CO2 per year. And here it comes the transparency. As you can see in large size carport areas, in case that the module is allowing no light to pass through, beneath the carport is going to be quite dark. And that's why the carport module of AESOLAR or the Horizon carport is coming with transparency function. This means that 8% of the light over the module can pass and come beneath the module. Now I would like to mention another application, which is vertical PV. Vertical PV can come with different applications, and a very niche one is PV fences and noise barriers. Fences and noise barriers can be used for residential, public urban areas, autobahns, hospitals, schools, and etc. So very, very interesting market for a good reason. Here you can see a comparison between a typical fence from a shop in Germany and from the same shop, a PV module with almost the same area. So almost 1.7 to 1.8 square meter. But you can see a plastic fence as €100, whereas the module is about 60. This means that you already have 40% less investment cost in case that you want to build a fence with PV module. And meanwhile, we should consider that the module can also produce energy, and it will be self-paid after a while. So this is a very interesting motivation for lots of people to choose PV modules over just a plastic fence to save cost and also produce electricity. But the biggest market in this segment of vertical PV is Agri PV. Agri PV has the biggest potential with significant implementation capacity. It can, just imagine in case that you can cover only 1% of the utilized agricultural areas with Agri PV systems. It could result in approximately 945 gigawatt DC of installed capacity, so almost a terawatt. And for this, again, we have a solution, which is our TERRA family. TERRA V or vertical PV has up to 580 watts peak power. It comes with 30 years of performance warranty and up to 30 years of product warranty. The module is extremely resistant to wind and snow. It has highest bifaciality in module level. It comes with frameless and framed options. And now we are working to offer this as a solution with the mounting system, which comes as a modular and adjustable mounting system. But now let's have a look to the challenges. So in case that we have a vertical PV with a standard PV module, we're going to face some challenge. First of all, is that the backside of the module is not being exposed directly to sun irradiation. And considering the backside of the module is shaded by frame, junction boxes, and cables, you're going to lose some energy, and also it can lead to some reliability issues and hotspot issues because the module is no longer on the backside receiving albedo light, but it's getting direct sun irradiation. For this purpose, we designed TERRA module, which we introduced to the market around 2.5 years ago. The module has a different interconnection level, and it made us possible to replace the junction boxes and cables to one side of the PV module. And furthermore, we optimized the frame, so the frame on the backside is not inducing any self-shading. By doing so, you can see that a comparison between a standard PV module in light and the TERRA module when they mounted vertically. So you see that in the first half of the day, they produce the same energy, but in the second half of the day, the TERRA module produces more energy due to the elimination of self-shading. This value depends on different locations. In sunny areas like Athens and Rome, we calculated up to 3.2% extra gain for the modules, whereas in places with low light conditions like Oslo or Birmingham, we still could achieve up to 2.8%. But there is more challenges and, of course, more solutions from our side. One big challenge is the wind. When the module is mounted vertically, then there are a high load of wind on each side of the module, which leads to the bending of the laminates and breakage of the solar cells. But now, in case that we compare 3 different modules, an old-timer full-size solar cell, a half-cell module with mirrored design or butterfly design, and also AESOLAR TERRA, you see that from design point of view, we have also the solar cells 90-degree rotated. Now, in case that we are applying 5,400 Pascal of load on the backside of the module, you see that the first 2 modules, standard modules, are experiencing a high stress in the middle. And the cell fracture probability is up to 78%. Whereas the stress on TERRA module is by far lower, which is about 75% less fracture probability. And this is achieved only by rotating the solar cells to 90 degrees. So by rotating the solar cells to 90 degrees, the long side of the solar cell is in parallel to the long side of the laminate, which bends. And therefore, it shows a better stress tolerance. The other product in TERRA family is an Agri PV for elevated installation. Here we have up to 40% transparency for optimal plant growth, and the module come up to 395 watt peak with different sizes. The modules also enjoy 30 years of performance warranty and up to 30 years of product warranty. There are many systems that they require elevated, or applications that they require elevated systems. One of them are greenhouses, and the others are specific plants like vineyards or apple trees or similar crops. By using this, we can reduce the water evaporation, forming a microclimate under the modules and shield the crops from adverse weather conditions. This can include, for example, hail, frost, or drought, and heavy rains. So most of them plants are being protected. This module is also represented during AESOLAR with a mounting system that can be also obtained through our partners. We did also a very interesting scenario, which was a semi-elevated Agri PV in the middle of desert. So in desert, energy is important, of course, but not as much as food and water. And this is a joint work or research that we did with FRC, or Fujairah Research Institute, where we planted PV under the modules and we monitored them. Of course, it had to be some adjustments in the system, but you can visibly see that the quality of the plants are by far better. And the colleagues there did further investigation. So the plants beneath the module were enjoying during the midday about 10 degrees less temperature and a significantly higher, almost double the amount of humidity, which is perfect for the plants. So the quality of the plants with shoot lengths, root lengths, and leaf number were by far better compared to the module which were exposed outdoor. And according to the information that we got, this approach has increased the planting season for almost 2 months. So this means with one shot, you can address 3 problems of water consumption, food production, and energy production. Last but not the least, I would like to give you a teaser about our shade-resistant PV module. We had previously a shade-resistant module, the first generation launched in 2018, and the module had quite good feedback. But we did a refresh and a redesign in this module, which made one of the superb PV modules in the sense of shade tolerancy. The module, in case that you apply even larger shades, up to 22%, whereas the IBC modules and standard modules can produce almost zero energy, this module can produce up to 68% of its nominal power. So the module is designed by AESOLAR and tested by Fraunhofer CSP, and we are expecting to showcase it in 2026. And with this, I would like to wrap up my talk. So there are drastic reduction in PV price and increased price and limitation of lands, which are boosting dual usage of land by PV implementation. Here, there are few things regarding to the market demand. First, slight optimization for each application is required. And secondly, carport PV and vertical PV are the main markets, as they are very interesting economics for investors, large-size investors, and mass producers can enter to the market, which of course will boom the market. And with this, I would like to thank you very much for your attention. And in case that you have any questions here, you can ask me or write me an email later or directly contact our sales. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Ahmed. I think this is really very interesting presentation. But I think I have 2 questions. So, you mentioned the 8% transparency. So is it a default feature, like whenever someone buys the carport, so it comes along with it? Because, you mentioned the transparency is important, especially when you have such a large carport. But what about if the carport is small? We don't need any transparency, right? So white is a default feature, or Any thoughts on that?
Yes, so transparency comes as a standard feature. So basically, the cell spacing between the solar cells are transparent, and it can transmit more light beneath the module, and it was intentional. And for us in small sizes, first of all, it wouldn't impact the energy generation considerably. It will be really, really minor. Some CTM losses or gains are going to be neglected. But meanwhile, it also gives a very nice aesthetic beneath the module. When you see a grid line which is coming beneath the module, it also, from the aesthetic point of view, is very pleasant. So from our customers, actually, we got a lot of feedbacks that they actually like this feature, and they prefer to have it.
Okay. So another thing, you showed the vertical PV, modules can be used as fans. So 99 euros plastic and 69 euros, 59 euros for solar module. How sustainable is this? I mean, this cannot be our selling point, right? So, okay, the prices are really down, and you being a manufacturer, we know how much module makers are really bleeding. So, where do you see? So, it may not be this 50% difference, but do you see, because of the continuous effort in the industry, the cost reduction activities are initiative taken by leading makers, including you? So are we going to compete even these plastic materials with solar, even when module makers are earning a little profits?
Well, this is unintentional, to be honest. Of course, what we see in the current terms of prices is unique actually in many industries and many segments. So after COVID, lots of things got more expensive and expensive, but PV is still decreasing the power. And yes, it's amazing that we have the PV module with silicon, glass, all technology, silver, copper, and everything, and cheaper than a plastic fence. But this is a kind of reality. So I would say that this is not a real competition with the fence producer here, but it's a kind of unintentional market which is actually gaining a lot of attention. So this is, of course, not comparable to Agri PV, but it's still the same concept, and it still attracts a lot of attention.
Okay, great. I think there are a few more questions in the chat window. Please try to answer that. So then I will move on to the next presentation.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.